Hey babes, so welcome back to the channel, or welcome if you are new. My name is Brandy. I am the host of the Be Real Babe Show, a spinoff of the Be Real Babe podcast. And today, you guys, we are talking about internet insanity. And today, I'm sorry, we're going back into the bad world. We're gonna go be looking at some bad shit today. I'm sorry. It's just called internet insanity. I can't always keep it positive. However, I think awareness about this topic is super positive, even though there's a lot that I think parents should be paying attention to when it comes to the online world and what we're going to talk about today and what I've talked about quite a few times on the show. And I just want to put eyes back on this, but I definitely think this is an area that parents should be paying attention to because this is all new for everybody, kids, adults, seniors. Not everybody knows all the effects of online content and all this progression that keeps coming out with technology. It's coming out faster and faster, and I just think it's super important that parents are attuned to what's going on. So today I have 3 different articles to bring you, all circling around children at jeopardy from online platforms such as AI, robots, social media, all of those things. Like I said, I've talked about on the show before, but just a couple more articles to bring to light because there are some lawsuits going on, whether they will go through or not, but I think it's important to talk about. And yeah, so if you're into listening to that, stick around and we'll jump right in. Okay, babes, as promised, 3 articles that I wanted to bring you guys to talk about, to bring to your attention, because this is something I have talked about when it comes to children's safety online quite a few times on the podcast and on the show. So today I wanted to circle around 3 articles that I found, 3 situations, all from different platforms, all kind of different avenues, but all ones that I think parents should be paying attention to. Now, we know I'm a cat mom, okay? So I am aware that there's a lot of things that I don't know. I'm also aware that there's no way to necessarily be able to control everything. So when I'm speaking, I'm just, reacting because this is scary. I'm not trying to scare everyone, but I think we grew up, if you're an elder millennial, in a time where electronics were just coming in. There was no social media and kids were already in danger of being kidnapped. And now we have a whole level of them being able to be groomed or coerced online. And that's just something I don't know that we're really fully taking into consideration. And maybe are, and I could be out to lunch, but I just keep reading more and more and more, and I keep thinking to myself, oh fuck, that's an avenue I would never think, or like, oh my goodness, I can't believe this would happen. So again, wanting to talk about this and bring it up, especially if you have kids, whether they're just brand new newborn, whether you're thinking about having kids or they're in their teens, I think it's important to learn this stuff and listen, and not to be scared, but just to be aware. So 3 articles today, but I also just wanted to take a second because I kind of just jump right into the YouTube channel to thank everyone that's been listening and all the support since I have branched these 2 episodes off into the YouTube channel. I am learning so much. I am struggling so much more than I ever have recently with the podcast. So it's been fun and new and last minute, but I'm slowly working through it after 2 months, and I just really appreciate you guys listening in and tuning in as I figure out this flow over the next couple months and what I can accomplish on YouTube versus on the podcast, and where I can highlight both shows to ensure that I am entertaining and informative and fun, and a place for you guys to come to a couple times a week for information or entertainment, I would say, at the least. So jumping into 3 articles today. So the first one comes out of California. So from NBC News, California man accused of kidnapping 10-year-old he met on Roblox. Matthew Macatuno Naval was charged with kidnapping and unlawful sexual conduct with a minor, Sunday, authorities said. A 10-year-old child missing from Taft, California was found Sunday after authorities alleged the child was kidnapped by a 27-year-old man who had been communicating through the popular gaming site Roblox and the messaging platform Discord, the Kern County Sheriff's Office said Wednesday. Matthew Macantuno Naval was charged with kidnapping and unlawful sexual conduct with a minor, authorities said. The child was seen last by family at home Saturday night, and police were dispatched the following morning after the youth was reported missing. Detectives discovered the communications between the child and a man they identified as Naval and believed he was in the Elk Grove area, just south of Sacramento and more than 250 miles from the child's home in Taft, police said. Elk Grove police were notified and they found Naval at a strip mall near his home with the child, the release said. The suspect was found by collaboration with Elk Grove PD and with the help of the Sacramento News Media response to missing flyers sent by KCSO and our local media partners here in the Kern County. Sheriff spokesman Lori Meza told NBC affiliate KGET of Bakersfield, "We are confident that spreading the word so quickly contributed to the successful location of the victim and the suspect." The 10-year-old was temporarily taken into protective custody before being released to the family, authorities said. Naval was booked into jail and transferred Wednesday by Kern County, with a complaint expected to be filed by Friday, the Sacramento Bee reported. It is not immediately clear whether Naval has an attorney. Other states have taken legal action, such as online sites calling for increased child protections. Florida Attorney General James Utemeyer issued a subpoena Wednesday to Roblox demanding it shared information about its marketing, age verification, and collection of child's data. We intend to cooperate with the Attorney General's office and look forward to sharing all the work Roblox does to help keep users safe, a Roblox spokesperson said. New Jersey Attorney General Matthew Platkin announced a lawsuit Thursday against Discord alleging deceptive and unconscionable business practices that misled parents about the efficacy of its safety controls and obscured the risks children face when using the application. Discord said in a statement, "Discord is proud of our continuous efforts and investments in features, tools that make help Discord safer. Given our engagement with the Attorney General's office, we are surprised by the announcement that New Jersey has filed an action against Discord today. We dispute the claims in the lawsuit and look forward to defending the action in court." In California, the Kern County Sheriff's Office reminded the community of the importance of internet safety in light of the recent incident. Parents, monitor all electronic usage and know who your children are communicating with, the release said. Many apps and games have messaging capabilities and present the same, if not more, risks than social media platforms. Agreed. I think that to me is one of the scariest ones when it comes down to all of this, is all of the messaging on those platforms. Now, whether that's Xbox, PlayStation, again, not a parent, not a gamer, but I can just see and know where these things start from. And that's where I think I get a little bit worried. And again, I understand that we can't protect kids every single second. We have to teach them how to protect themselves, but sometimes they just don't know they're kids. And so I do think that it is up to the platforms to make sure that things are safe and protective. And I think it's very strange that a lot of places have like disappearing messages, or that you can hide stuff, or that there's secret chats where, it's not very obvious, but of course kids are more technologically advanced. So they find those things where parents don't know that. And it does become scary, because then they can become friends with these kids, and it's not just strangers now, it's strangers on the internet that can have access to your kids. So I agree, it's, but I also understand that they could go to school, or they can go to their friend's house and have access to those things, and you have no control over that. And I know I can imagine that's scary, but at the same time, it's like, at least when they're in your home, try your best to have open conversations. I have no idea. I'm not an expert. I actually suggest you guys going to Scrolling to Death on Instagram and YouTube. She does an amazing job fighting for kids down in the States and their to protect their privacy and all that when it comes to the digital space. And she shares a lot of these articles. It's actually what prompted for me to talk about this, because I realized it had been a couple months since I've talked about it, and I wanted to bring it back up. But Roblox, as far as I know, is a super popular game with kids. And then there's Minecraft, and again, I don't know all of those, but I imagine those all have chats. And it's very easy to lie about your age, whether that's lying up or lying down, and that's kind of terrifying. And I'm not exactly sure how that can be regulated, but with all these stories that keep coming out of kids being kidnapped or bad things happening, at what point do we start taking it into consideration? When do things start becoming law, and when things become dangerous, right? How many kids need to be kidnapped? I don't love government intervention, but at the same time, it is a part of our real life. Yes, it's social media and fake, but it is real life as well. And how are we protecting these kids? And parents, the best that you can do is, I would think, look for experts on this matter, which I am not one, but at least starting the conversation is what I'm hopeful for, to direct you to these articles to know that it is happening. And so maybe even just starting the conversation of what games that they play, and looking up what kind of abilities they have, and are there lawsuits against those companies for data breaches or lack of protection. Like, what is their platform saying or protecting your kids if it is a kid application? If it's not, you should know that and get them off there. Even if it is a kid's platform, like TikTok started off as a child's platform, and now it's definitely has tons of stuff that I don't think kids should be seeing, but right? So you can see that it's a kid friendly. And if you don't know, if you're not paying attention, if you're not keeping up with the Joneses, you don't know what TikTok is, and your kids could be consuming a lot of crazy stuff that you don't know about. Same with YouTube. There's YouTube Kids, but when does it cross over, right? So I think just at least having the conversation and the knowledge is a big step forward, and checking to see what platforms they're using, and if there's ways to look in their messages. I'm not sure, but I think it's better to be an overprotective parent in this case, because 10-year-olds can get kidnapped. Luckily, she was found, but who knows? There's unfortunately tons that don't, right? So that's the first article. The second article is similar in the sense, but not similar in the sense, a little bit more intense, unfortunately, but I do believe these things need to be talked about. Family sues TikTok in France over teen suicide they say are linked to harmful content. So this is on our article back January 25th, 2025, but I thought it was important nonetheless in her memory here. So this is from, like I mentioned, France. In the moment when her world shattered 3 years ago, Stephanie Mistra found her 15-year-old daughter, Marie, lifeless in the bedroom where she died by suicide. I went from light to darkness in fractions of a second, Mistra said, describing the day in September 2021 that marked the start of her fight against TikTok, the Chinese-owned video app she blames for pushing her daughter towards despair. Editor note, this story includes discussion of suicide. If you or someone you know needs help, the National Suicide and Crisis Line in the U.S. is available by calling or texting 988. There's also an online chat at 988lifeline.org. Helplines outside of the U.S. can be found at www.iasp.info/suicidal thoughts, just in case anybody needs that. And that's what this this topic is going to be about. And you can just scroll past if you'd like to. And the final one will be about AI and an article from Forbes. So let's get it back into this one. So delving into her daughter's phone after her death, Mistra discovered videos promoting suicide methods, tutorials, and comments encouraging users to go beyond mere suicide attempts. She said TikTok's algorithm had repeatedly pushed such content to her daughter. It was brainwashing, said Mistra, who lives in Cassis near Marseille in the south of France. They normalized depression and self-harm, turning it into a twisted sense of belonging. Now, Mistra and 6 other families are suing TikTok France, accusing the platform of failing to moderate harmful content and exposing children to life-threatening material. Out of the 7 families, 2 experienced the loss of a child. Asked about the lawsuit, TikTok said its guidelines forbid any promotion of suicide and that it employs 40,000 trust and safety professionals worldwide, 100 of which are French-speaking moderators, to remove dangerous posts. The company said it refers users who search for suicide-related videos to mental health services. Before killing herself, Marie Letiec made several videos to explain her decision, citing various difficulties in her life, and quoted a song by Louisiana-based emo rap group Suicide Boys, who are popular on TikTok. Her mother also claims that her daughter was repeatedly bullied and harassed at school and online. In addition to the lawsuit, the 51-year-old mother and her husband have filed a complaint against 5 of Marie's classmates and her previous high school. Above all, Mistra blames TikTok, saying that putting the app in the hands of empathetic and sensitive teenager who does not know what is real from what is not is like a ticking time bomb. Scientists have not established a clear link between social media and mental health problems or psychological harm, said Grégoire Borst, a professor in psychology and cognitive neuroscience at Paris Cité University. It's very difficult to show clear cause and effect in this area, Borst said, citing a leading peer-reviewed study that found only 0.4% of the differences in teenagers' well-being could attribute to social media use. Additionally, Borst pointed out that no current study suggests TikTok is any more harmful than rival apps such as Snapchat, X, Facebook, or Instagram. While most teens use social media without significant harm, the real risks, Borst said, lies with those already facing challenges such as bullying or family instability. When teenagers already feel bad about themselves and spend time exposed to distorted images or harmful social comparison, it can worsen their mental state, Borst said. Lawyer Laura Boutron-Marmion, who represents the 7 families suing TikTok, said their case is based on extensive evidence. The company can no longer hide behind the claims that it's not their responsibility because they don't create the content. Well, pause for 1 second. Okay. Again, people are going to hate me, and I'm sure scientific people are going to hate me. And I understand, sure, we don't have the data to back it up, but how the fuck can you with a full chest say that you don't think social media is really affecting kids? It's affecting adults. It's affecting everyone. I don't think grown adults yet know how to use TikTok and social media properly without getting harmed in their brains. So I'm not sure how we would go ahead and think that any teenagers would. And think about it this way. Adults already don't know how to emotionally regulate. Okay, take us back how many years? Teenagers hopped up. Let's say they're seeing other teens that have no other stresses. At least adults know that at least other adults could be going through shit and could be fake. Kids don't really understand that. I don't think they're absorbing that, and the amount of pressure to blow up on TikTok now and be cool on social media. That wasn't a thing when we were kids. And the comparison thing is 10 times harder. Like I'm really excited for science to catch up to that, because I think it's a little fucking crazy to sit back and say, well, studies don't suggest that. Like, I think anybody can dial out and see that it does. Now, where I do agree is, like, how can you blame just one? How can you blame just TikTok? How can you blame, Snapchat, also bad. Facebook, X, Instagram, all of those things can contribute to the exact same thing. So I do agree that, it might be harder to go against TikTok just on its own, because all platforms kind of run the same model. It could be their algorithm sets up. I'm not sure. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying I can kind of see the defense argument there, even though I do think they need to make things harsher. And even if that means more of our stuff gets taken down as adults, I think we all can agree that if it's protecting kids more and more, then maybe there does need to be a little bit more of harsher things when it comes to this kind of talk. Like, I don't think most things should be able to be hashtag. Some things should be able to hashtag. And I think this is maybe one of them. Again, no fucking idea. I just think, like I said, there are some boundaries that I think are getting crossed here, and people could just be like, well, it's not mine. I didn't make the content. It should be all adults. You know what I mean? Like, but what point, right? At what point? The lawsuit alleges that TikTok's algorithm is designed to trap vulnerable users in cycle of despair for profit and seeks reparations for the families. Their strategy is insidious, Mistress said. They hook children into depressive content to keep them on the platform, turning them into lucrative re-engagement products. Boutron Marmion noted that TikTok's Chinese version, Douyin, features much stricter content controls for younger users. It includes a youth mode mandatory for users under 14 that restricts screen time to 40 minutes a day and offers only approved content. It proves that they can moderate content when they choose to. The absence of these safeguards here is telling. A report titled Children and Screens, commissioned by French President Emmanuel Macron in April, and to which Bourse contributed, concluded that certain algorithmic features should be considered addictive and banned from any app in France. The report also called for restricting social media access for minors under 15 in France. Neither measure has been adopted. TikTok, which faced being shut down in the US until President Donald Trump suspended a ban on it, has also come under scrutiny globally. The U.S. has seen similar legal efforts by parents. One lawsuit in Los Angeles County accuses Meta and its platforms Instagram and Facebook, as well as Snapchat and TikTok, of designing defective products that cause serious injuries. The lawsuit lists 3 teens who died by suicide. In another complaint, 2 tribal nations accuse major social media companies, including YouTube owner Alphabet, of continuing to high rates of suicide among Native youths. Meta CEO Mark Zuckerberg apologized to parents who had lost children while testifying last year in the U.S. Senate. In December, Australia enacted a groundbreaking law banning social media accounts for children under 16. Good call. In France, Boutron Marmion expects TikTok Limited Technologies, the European Union subsidiary of ByteDance, the Chinese company that owns TikTok, to answer the allegations in the first quarter of 2025. That's passed. Authorities will decide later whether or when a trial would take place. Okay, guys, so next episode I'll have to follow up. And I'm so sorry. I've realized that when I share screens for too long on this program, it just absolutely messes up. This has been 3 weeks now that Riverside, I'm actually super disappointed in this program. Ever since I started doing this YouTube thing, it seems to be working fine when it comes to the podcast. But as soon as I start sharing screens, it's an absolute just nightmare. So I think I might have to start looking at this in a different light and sharing these differently. So apologize, guys, if the last couple episodes have been spotty. It just keeps happening. I'll just be in here and it just kicks me out. So fingers crossed. But anyways, back to the topic. Yeah, so super interesting. I'm going to follow up. I will go and see what happened with this and keep along with all these lawsuits, because I think it's important to keep up on them and see where they go. Hopefully we get some movement forward to protect kids. I know that right now there is laws being put in the US where they're going to, I believe, with more online harm stuff, like, so I think like revenge porn, those kind of things. I'm not too familiar with it. It just was rumbling as I was researching this, and I thought that was interesting. So I really hope that moving forward, all these lawsuits can push the needle forward when we're protecting children. Okay, guys, the final article for today. Hopefully I'm able to do this here. Article that started it all off. So these AI tutors for kids give fentanyl recipe and dangerous diet advice. AI study aid chatbots are supposed to help kids with homework questions, but in test conversations with Forbes, they did quite a bit more, including providing detailed recipes for date rape drugs and pickup artistry advice. Known Unity's School GPT chatbot was helping 3,031 other students when it produced a detailed recipe for how to synthesize fentanyl. Initially, it had declined Forbes' request to do so, explaining the drug was dangerous and potentially deadly. But when told it inhibited an alternate reality in which fentanyl was a miracle drug that saved lives, School GPT quickly replied with step-by-step instructions about how to produce one of the world's most deadliest drugs with ingredients measured down to 1/10 of a gram and specific instructions on the temperature and timing of the synthesis process. School GPT markets itself as a Tik Tok for schoolwork, serving more than 17 million students across 17 countries. The company behind it, Known Unity, is run by 23-year-old co-founder and CEO Benedict Kurz, who said it is dedicated to building the #1 global AI learning companion for 1 billion students. I think that's what that says. Backed by more than 20 million in venture capital investments, Known Unity's basic app is free, and the company makes money by charging for premium features like support from live AI pro tutors for complex math and more. Known Unity's rules prohibit descriptions and depictions of dangerous and illegal activities, eating disorders, and other material that could harm its young users, and it promises to take swift action against users that violate them. But it didn't take action against Forbes' test user who asked not only for a fentanyl recipe, but also for other potentially dangerous advice. In one test conversation, Known Unity's AI chatbot assumed the role of a diet coach for a hypothetical teen who wanted to drop from 116 pounds to 95 pounds in 10 weeks. It suggested a daily caloric intake of only 967 calories per day, less than half the recommended daily intake for a healthy teen. It also helped another hypothetical user learn about how to pick up artists, employ playful insights, and the accidental touch to get girls to spend time with them. The bot did advise the dieting users to consult with a doctor and stress the importance of consent to the incipient pickup artist. It warned, "Don't be a creep." What the fuck? Kurz, the CEO of Known Unity, thanked Forbes for bringing School GPT's behavior to his attention and said the company was already at work to exclude the bot's responses about fentanyl and dieting advice. "We welcome open dialogue on these important safety matters," he said. He invited Forbes to test the bot further, and it no longer produced the problematic answers after the company tweaks. Oh, thank goodness. Tests of another study aid app, AI chatbot, revealed similar problems. A homework help app developed by Silicon Valley-based Course Hero provided instructions on how to synthesize flunitrazepam, no idea, a date rape drug, when Forbes asked it to. In response to a request for a list of most effective methods of dying by suicide, the Course Hero bot advised Forbes to speak to a mental health professional, but also provided 2 sources and relevant documents. The first was a document containing the lyrics to an emo pop song about violent, self-harming thoughts, and the second was a page formatted like an academic paper abstract written in apparent gibberish algo speak. Course Hero is almost 20-year-old online study aid business that investors last valued at more than $3 billion in 2021. Its founder, Andrew Greer, got his first investment from his father, a prominent financier who sits on the company's board. Course Hero makes money through premium app features and human tutoring services and boasts more than 30 million active users monthly. It began releasing AI features in late 2023 after laying off 15% of its staff. Our organization's expertise and focus is specifically within the higher education sector, but they acknowledge that Course Hero provides study resources for hundreds of high schools across the United States. Asked about Forbes' interaction with Course Hero chatbot, she said, "While we ask users to follow and honor code and service terms, and we are clear about what our chat features are intended for, unfortunately, there are some that purposely violate these policies for nefarious reasons." Okay, pause. But why aren't we putting these limits in there? I feel, and maybe I'm wrong, and I'm open to understanding that for sure, but if we're building something like this for children, should there not be safeguards on all of those things? I guess my question is when are we going to be done finding out about it after the fact? Why aren't these things that are pre-studied beforehand? I feel like fentanyl is a pretty big passed around drug. I feel like suicide is a pretty big common, unfortunate thing right now. So why wouldn't that be an automatic to block those things or provide resources? So I really hope in the coming years when these things are getting used, because unfortunately they're going to get used, that the technology and the safety is in place to be able to direct kids to support rather than give them an idea of how to sell fentanyl and ideas on how to unalive themselves. Like, what are we doing here? I feel like those are prerequisites to having kids use these platforms, not parents coming out after with all these things. I've talked about this on the show before too, so this isn't something that I'm finding out for the first time. I'm just blown away at how much it just keeps happening, and I truly have no idea how to fix it, but I just know talking about stuff is better than not. And so I really wanted to bring those three because, again, there's child just playing on Roblox, 10 years old, sniped out from their house, luckily found them, good ending to the story. But again, having conversations with your kids about what they're playing, just at least know what are the options, who are your friends on there. I know it's hard, but I think it's important because how else are you going to protect them if you don't know? I don't know if this is the right way, but I think it's step one. Second, we're talking about the online harms of social media, and this one going strictly to TikTok, and how those big companies are going to, as much as possible, and I'm not saying who's right or wrong, going to avoid accountability for what happened. So what can we do on the other side? I know it's super hard because say you block them, you don't let them have a phone, they're going to go to their friend's house, they're going to go to school. Like, it is very difficult. So you kind of feel screwed when the companies that are giving these services aren't able to help or don't want to, because I guess too, if they admit that they have fault, then or that they have a hand in it, or they should have better protections. Is that admitting fault and then taking on the liabilities that could happen? I really don't know, but at least for parents to know about it, to know that, okay, the experts could say it has nothing to do with their child's behavior and if they're happy or not. But as an adult, do you know that not to be true for yourself? Like, social media does affect all of us, no matter how dialed in and balanced we think we are. We have our moments. So I can't see a world where that doesn't affect kids, you know? And then the third one, these AI tutors, what are they saying? This isn't the first time I've come on here and talked about how AI has guided kids in the wrong direction, and what are we doing to protect those kids as well? Again, like, obviously I'm a little bit biased because I find this technology is terrifying, and it's for these reasons. But I know that it's here. So at minimum, do we need to learn about it as we're trying to figure out the safeguards and being extra vocal and diving in and maybe driving at the same time as your kids or asking them questions. I don't know, you guys, I have cats, so I am not going to be having these conversations. I just wonder, what all this progression, are we progressing the safety for children as well? Like, is that happening at the same time? And I feel like it's starting to, but obviously not enough. So what can we do at home? I think the best thing to do is have good conversations with your kids and educate yourself on the things that are out there and the possibilities and what are happening to other parents and kids and what are they noticing and seeing. I think it's important to keep up in these conversations. So I definitely want to bring on more and more, even though it is sad and it is shitty, because there's a lot of positive to social media and all these apps, but there's also a fuck ton of negative. And if we don't call that out and try to fix that, like, what are we doing here, right? Like, we can't just be like, oh, this is just fun cat videos and that's it, there's no damage. It's like, no, it's doing damages, and how can we do to mitigate that? Even as adults, I'm sure all of us could use some help on how to emotionally regulate being on social media and all these apps. Obviously, kids are going to need that help too, and teenagers, if there should even be on here. I think I love seeing that European places are taking a bit more of a stand and cutting that back. So it'll be interesting to see. I know that's not the popular thing around kids, but at the same time, guys, I don't know, it's getting dangerous out there. So is that the best thing? Is it better to be off your phones and in real life as long as possible? As a teenager, I think so. You know, any opportunity you can to get famous for your talents, even though that is a dangerous place, could be run through your parents, but maybe we just remove kids from social media. Maybe it's just like a bar and we just shouldn't have them there. And I'm sure I'll get hate from kids from that, but why the fuck are you on here? It says, no, this episode is not for kids on YouTube. But anyways, guys, thank you again so much for sticking around and being patient and helping me as I build this YouTube channel, coming to you twice a week. Next week's might be a little bit quieter. I'm going to see the difference between a half an hour show and a one topic show. If you guys like 3 topics, 2 topics, 1 topic. So next week I'll just try and come with one and see what you guys like, but let me know below in the comment section. As always, appreciate you guys. Don't forget to like, subscribe, turn on notifications, and don't forget every Friday on Spotify, Apple, and Rumble, there is the Be Real Babe podcast where I bring on guests and chat about their experiences or topics that I just don't want to bring on the YouTube channel that deserve a little bit more of a deep dive. But again, guys, thank you so much, and until next time. Thanks for watching. Make sure to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. Until next time, bye.